Hello everybody, if you don't know me, my name is Nopon, and welcome to Our Life Beginnings and Always. So I found this game on itch.io, and I don't know much about it other than that it's a visual novel, and there's a DLC apparently. So we're just gonna get straight into it. New file. Welcome to Our Life Beginnings and Always. There are various ways you can customize and interact with the game. This tutorial is an overview of how certain features work. But there are hundreds of options in our life, and not every choice menu falls in line with that pattern. Okay, I cannot keep reading this. My jaw is hurting. I'm just gonna skip through the rest. Okay. Okay, so this is the character I've made, and this is what I've decided to go with. So... It said, though, this wasn't going to appear very often, though, but that's okay. Here we go. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of the year. Your usual sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came from both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, and they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. Okay. I ended up saying hi to a lot of different people since most of the person. You're too anxious. I'm anxious. Well, I have social anxiety, so yeah. I smiled at you anyway, and that made you feel a little more comfortable. But today there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wonder if he was even a real person, or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Whoever or whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your mom calls it. So for you, not knowing who the total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your mom had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. Remember, that's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. You weren't sure about this man yet. So you feel about scared that he's blocking your way to the front door. Yeah. You slowed down, your mind racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen, but it was too late to escape. There was a split second where your eyes met and you took in a shaky breath, your eyes starting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. Hey. His voice startled and made you jump, but you still didn't look at him. The bird landed on top of a nearby gate post, and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. Trying to keep your eyes on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Whole body's frozen. Do you live around here? What's your name? You lifted the man up and down, taking in his tan skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed, the way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts with a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. Yeah, I live here. That's great. He looked happy to hear it, giving you a broad smile. Oh my god, it's Andrew Jackson. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. He crinkled it in his hand as he held it up to you. Even more confused before you looked back at him. Why is it like talking? Well, could you do me a favor? Nothing bad, sorry, I should have... Let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. I have a son, his name is Cove, who's about your age. guy was definitely obsessed with water. He wasn't the only person like that in Sunset Bird. Post ad. Oh my goodness. He moved in across the street. See, he gestured toward the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Ashley Pug, right? I met your moms earlier and they told me you were 8, just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting in his lips at the corners. You try to be friends with the boy? Just give him a chance and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him.
Do you mind?
He's Australian. Well, you've got to keep it a secret too, okay? I wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. You eyed the man. What could be so bad about this Cove kid? Oh wait. What could be so bad about this Cove kid that his dad would need to bribe strangers to be friends with him? What'd you say? Want to make a deal? You took the bill. You carefully plucked the bill from his outstretched hand, grinning at the thoughts of what you could do with that much cash. Oh my god, there's so many options. Cute stuffed animal. It was gonna be able to go on with you. That was just a start. You thought the sky was the limit with that kind of amount. The man smiled at you, his eyes crinkling at the sides as he did. Great, that's great. I'll bring it by tomorrow. I wanted to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but, well, I don't know where he's gotten off to. He laughed when he said that, but the way his face looked, he thought he actually wanted to cry. If you see him, can you tell him to come on home? He's got a pink cast and glasses. You can't miss it. I can try. Not totally certain you find good, but willing to look. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head. Paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away and said, Your mom and sorority are checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Now I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought he might come back, and that's not what important. I have to go. Thanks again, Ashley. So much. He jogged off down the street without another word. You decided to check the hills behind your house. Step 1. First sight. Alright, we made it to step 1. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill, you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. Especially with the sand, which got absolutely everywhere. You couldn't really understand why so many people came down all the way from where they were just to visit the ocean. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden, with the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, you probably just thought he wasn't paying attention. He hasn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have green hair. But this new boy did. You watched it as it fluttered softly around his face in the breeze. After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, and then another. And then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show that you weren't scary. Are you lost? With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling his fists to the sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You'd obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when you caught him staring... I cannot speak today. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had stuck out to you. Cove? Eyes wide, he studied you. How'd you know that? You touched the money in your pocket, feeling it crinkle beneath your fingertips. I met your dad. Oh. So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling into prospect. I can leave if it is. You can't own a hill. Why not? How could you? You just do. I had a hill back home. Well, this still isn't mine. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why'd your family move? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. My parents. They don't want to live together with me anymore. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave and he took me with him, and now we have a house here and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. Sorry. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound up himself again for another long crying fit. You felt bad for him, being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Ashley! Okay, thanks for saying it for me. Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go back to the house. I want to go home. Don't worry so much. Sure, maybe it's weird and you're not gonna like it, but your dad's there too, right? Yeah. So you're really not all by yourself. Even if it feels like it, you've just gotta tell him how you feel. You shot up a grim and pushed yourself to your feet. You can't do anything if you don't make him hear you, right? Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not-bandaged arm. Sorry, I still don't want to go. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you could even answer, you heard Cove's dad even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you, and they rushed over. Oh my god! Wait! They're so pretty! Both your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. They're both so pretty! Ashley, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove, and then heard what might have happened earlier about you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone further away. No, we were just sitting in the grass. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing in his arms. He's gonna marry. I'm gonna say that. Oh, that's wonderful. Finally letting go to the squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you. Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Ashley knows this area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove. Bye. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. I'll tell you what. We'll have a proper play date tomorrow, okay? You and your friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? Sounds like words. With your mom's laugh, the sounds overlapping into one familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied? And more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Ooh, choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove for this first step. It can change in later steps. Okay. comfort, relaxed, aunt, I guess. You won't be able to change that until step 2. Yes. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you'd stayed put. Today, just like your mom said promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Oh my god, that grin. Look at her. She's like... Excited to see your new friend again, Ashley? Yeah, I am.
How sweet.
How sweet. I'm so happy he moved in.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Yes. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place, but still loud. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Ashley, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way out to the door. Hey, Pun family. Thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright light of your living room and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Why do I have so many bracelets? Crystal. Let's go play in my room.
Okay.
Thanks for saying it for me. I'm not asking you to do that. Why are you doing that? Is there settings? Settings? Voice. I don't want voice. The voice is weird. Okay. Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids. See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. You leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. I do that. Cool. You smiled at him. You were proud of it, that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You hoped he liked your room. You had put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. You hoped he didn't say anything bad about it. Then his eyes landed on a tiny box of beach things he'd collected tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach. Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box to the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. I think so, yeah, see? You gestured to a piece at the bottom still covered with specks of sand. Neat, this is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't saying it to be nice, or just like Shiloh, he actually meant it. Oh right, I almost forgot. Shiloh's gonna be here today. Shiloh? Lizzie's friend, or like her #1 fan, I guess? Do I have to see him? It should be okay. He's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but you know. Come on, check out my shells some more. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that I washed ashore, and... You pull out the seashell after seashell, explaining where you gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Your voice faltered a bit, but you kept going as fast as you could. You were really proud of your shell collection, and it made you happy that Cove was interested in them too. Apparently fascinated either by the stories of the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus. But Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then while showing him your collection. Kids, come on down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving him much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you'd been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought this box of shells. I'm gonna keep looking at them. Okay, but be careful. I will. You weren't so sure if you could trust someone else with your treasures yet, so you stayed next to him while he opened the lid and peered inside. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. I like a different one best. I can show it to you. You reached into a box to take out the one you preferred. Cove looked with interest. The two of you were sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. You'll be alright, he's here, we can't tell him to leave. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. That's really not reassuring. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked on the back of our house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it, scrambling to think of something that you stepped forward and then paused. I'll come with you. Hurry, they'll see where we're going. He glanced back at you, then nodded. The two of you made your way to the window together. It wasn't much of a distance to clamber out, but by the time you landed gently in the bushes, you looked up to see that Cove was already taking off away from the house. He was not that fast, but neither were you. Cove, I'm coming. You went as fast as he likes to take you, grass whipping around your ankles as he did so. Cautiously, Cove slowed to a halt and looked back at you. Where are you going? I don't know, somewhere else. I just don't want to see you. Ashley! You looked back and saw Shiloh huffing down the hill after you, the backpack he clutched bouncing all around along the way. What are you doing? Can I come? He must have seen you leaving out the window and followed behind. Oh, he's like okay. Oh, hi, are you Cove? Yeah. I'm Shiloh. Okay. Yep, are we going back, or are we gonna play outside? Shiloh's face moved between you and Cove. The smile remained strong on his face. It got a tiny frown from Cove in response. You were just grateful he hadn't asked you why you had been running away. Inside, we left the box on the floor. Right, my shells and stuff. We have to make sure they're okay. Okay! With Shiloh trailing behind, you and Cove headed back towards the house. The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach things some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove wasn't having fun. Hey, check out this scallop shell I found. Cool, right? It's a pretty color, kind of like my crest. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay. Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green. Or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool. I guess. I like those colors too. Awesome. Both of them smiled. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know. Aw. Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach, probably. Is she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looked towards you. There's a park? Yep, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do? Right, Ashley? You do too, right, Ashley? The park is so fun. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, and it's right at the beach, so there's lots of fun stuff to do and lots of sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. That sounds like it could be cool. So are we gonna find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just wanted to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. You perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging in the jungle gym, swimming back and forth. Hey, Lizzie. Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Ashley, Shiloh. Hi. She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned the two and scrambled over by her. You were used to being left out when it's just the three of you, but now Cove was here. You wondered if he would leave too. Who's that? It's Cove. He's new. I remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured wildly with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. Without interrupting Lizzie's speech, Cove whispered in her ear, quiet enough that the others wouldn't overhear. I thought kids couldn't own places like parks or hills. You couldn't help but laugh a tiny bit. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are? Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom said you're Ashley's age. Yeah. Thought so. I'm the only one in this group with double digits. What about other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Not even tourists bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth. Oh. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. Something in his eyes shifted, and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Only some of them don't like kids. You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Cove sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I met Lizzie and Ashley in school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer is over. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hadn't had much to like striking up conversations with Cove. I like summer vacation a lot too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort at how weird she thought Cove was, as something else entirely you didn't really know, but she laughed, her face scrunching up. Welcome to Sunset Bird, Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. You offered him a small smile, and that at least looked to reassure him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on Sundays, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Moment select. Ooh. Wait, I get to select one, and then summer ended? Ooh. Okay. So I have shopping, grown up, long day, sandcastle, and fireflies. Okay. I think I'm actually going to end this episode here. I'm going to save it. And I will get back to this. Oh, wait. I will get back to this game in the next part. If you enjoyed this, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I think I'm going to keep playing this. I really like this game. It's really sweet. So, yeah. My name is Snowpen, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye-bye.